Have you ever looked at a product from a company like Apple or Airbnb and just thought, wow, how did they know I needed this? Well, it's not a lucky guess, and it's definitely not magic. It's a process. And today, we're going to break down that blueprint. It's called design thinking.
So let me start by asking you a question. How do you go about solving a problem when you're not even 100% sure what the real problem is? We've all been there, right? It's a classic trap, whether you're building an app or launching a business or, heck, even just trying to fix a broken process at work.
The answer, and this is really the whole key to everything, is surprisingly simple. You start with people. You don't start with the solution, you don't start with the technology, you start with human beings. You really dive into their world, their needs, their frustrations. This focus on people is the absolute heart of design thinking.
Okay, so what does this human-centered approach actually look like when the rubber meets the road? Let's, put a real definition to it.
So at its core, design thinking is basically a structured way to tackle messy, complicated problems. It's human-centered, which we just said means people always come first. It's iterative, which is just a fancy way of saying you build, you test, and you learn, over and over again in cycles. The whole point is to really get what your users need, question your own beliefs about the problem, and then build rough versions of your ideas, fast, to see what actually works.
It all really boils down to these 4 big ideas. Human-centered, that's your North Star. It guides every decision. Iterative means you have to be okay with going in circles a bit because that's how you learn and get better. Collaborative, this is not a solo sport. You need different brains in the room. And finally, experimental. This one's huge. It gives you permission to try things, to get it wrong, and to learn from those mistakes really quickly.
And that brings us to what I think is the most active, most exciting part of this whole thing. See, if design thinking is the car, then prototyping, well, that's the engine. It's the part that actually makes it go, turning all those fuzzy ideas into something you can actually see and touch. Yeah, this is where all that talk and theory finally meets the real world. We stop just brainstorming about ideas, and we actually start building them. Now, a prototype doesn't have to be some slick, finished thing. Seriously, it could be a simple sketch, a model made of cardboard, or a super basic demo of an app. The goal is never perfection. The goal is just to make something real enough that people can play with it and give you their gut reactions.
Now, the creative process here has this really cool rhythm. It kind of pulses back and forth between 2 different ways of thinking. First, there's divergent thinking. Think of this as going wide. You're exploring, you're brainstorming, you're throwing every single idea out there, no judgment allowed. Then you switch gears to convergent thinking. This is where you narrow down. You get focused, you analyze, you start making some tough decisions. It's this constant rhythm. Zoom out to explore, then zoom in to decide.
All right, so how do we take these big ideas, prototyping, going wide, narrowing down, and put them into a workflow you can actually use? Let's walk through the process, step by step. This cycle right here is that engine in action. You kick things off at step 1, exploring concepts. That's our go wide, divergent thinking. Then in step 2, you narrow that down. You define your focus. That's you converging on the best idea. Step 3, you actually build the thing. But then comes the most critical part. In step 4, you get it in front of real people and test it. You watch them, you listen to them, and in step 5, you gather all that honest, raw feedback. Finally, step 6 is where you take everything you learned and make your idea better. And then what? Well, you do it all over again. It's a loop of constant improvement, all powered by real human feedback.
You might be thinking, okay, that seems like a lot of work, a lot of looping back. But why do we go through all this trouble? It's all about this one thing, minimizing risk. It is so much cheaper and so much easier to find out an idea has a major flaw when it's just a sketch, instead of after you've already spent months and millions of dollars building the final product. It's all about failing smart, failing early, and failing cheap.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the how. Let's wrap up with the why. Why does this actually work so well? What are the real tangible results you get when you actually commit to this process?
Well, when you really lean into this prototyping cycle, it pretty much always leads to 3 key outcomes that are honestly a total game changer for any project or team.
So first, just like we said, you massively reduce risk because you find those killer flaws early on. Second, you get authentic user feedback. And by authentic, I mean you see what people actually do with your idea, not just what they say they might do in a focus group. And that, of course, leads to the ultimate prize. You create solutions that are truly user-focused, because real people helped you build and shape them every single step of the way.
So if you're going to remember one thing, remember this. Design thinking isn't just about throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks. It is a disciplined, structured approach to being creative. And its one non-negotiable rule is that human needs have to be at the absolute center of innovation. Period.
So I'll leave you with a final thought to chew on. Just look around your own world, at your job, in your community, even in your own daily routine. What's a really complex, annoying problem you see? And what would happen if you tried to solve it, not by jumping straight to a solution, but by simply starting with the people it affects most? What might you discover?